nom. Oh, sorry, nom. That's wrong.
So here we are, Saturday morning in the Blue Mountains. We've been having a fine time.
Oh, God.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
So we had some pretty interesting experiences yesterday that we're going to share with you today. I'm not sure who all has what to share, but let's get started. Okay, who'd like to go first? Stryker, what you got?
Gee, he needs a microphone.
I am now the guardian of Biggie.
Are you okay?
Nice. Nice.
So that would be the big plastic Sasquatch you guys got up there?
Yes.
All right, you're going to have to send me a picture of him so I can include this. Everybody knows what we're talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
Give someone else the mic.
How did you earn that? How did you earn that? What did you do? Yeah, how did you become the guardian?
Because I named him.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Okay.
What happened yesterday?
Well,
No telling.
Let's see. What happened? Anything in the morning?
okay, so there was something happened when we went back to what we're now calling Kelly's Corner to see if there was any new tracks, new vegetation down, any new activity over there, because it seems to be such an active little spot. And on our way there, something happened. You want to tell us about that, Kathy?
Pump up the volume. Pump up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we were driving out there and we came up on a series of corners, like an S corner. And as we were driving along, I was looking out the passenger window because as you're driving through the trees, there's all these alpine meadows that just open up in different areas. And so I went, oh, if I could walk from that meadow to that meadow to that meadow. And when I got to that one, you're going to include a photo
Yes,
of the landscape?
I will.
It's something was walking below the ridge line. Tall, black, walking evenly paced, just strolling along, in which I was like, wow, because I know that's pretty steep because it comes up like this. So I was walking along below the ridge, dark and black from that distance. I couldn't see any highlights, any sheens from the sun. And so I walked along from left to right, and below the ridge line there's one single grove and or copse of trees and nothing else on that entire hillside. So it walked from left to right, just, it wasn't, walking, its arms were going, just strolling basically. But when we stopped, because I told Barb, I think there's someone walking on that hillside. And she stopped and I jumped out of the car and was trying to get down the road a little more where I could see behind the trees, but I couldn't. And then in a flash, by the time we stopped, these guys had their cameras out and binoculars, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And
Like a pit
no,
crew
these
from
girls are
NASCAR.
pros. These girls are pros, man. So we kept watching the hillside for quite a while, though, and I never saw it again
No, but
because it got behind those trees, and it never, like, if it was a hiker, right, and you're walking for some reason below the ridge, even though it's easier walking on top, they would have continued to the right beyond, because it was not a wide area of trees. It wasn't like it went across the meadow. So they would have continued forth, and I think that's what we were all looking to see. The thing that surprised me later was when you showed me where you guys had a previous sighting, and it was closer than where we were looking up in that meadow. And then you told me how tall yours was, and it was right across the road, and when you sent someone 6 foot tall, you could barely see him.
yeah.
See, and that's been boggling my mind all night, because for us to see this so clearly, it had to be big. I mean, huge, right?
Yeah.
So that I lost sight of it after that, and I never saw it again.
Well, when we stopped the car, got out, we had Sandy, and she was behind me, and Pat and Penny were behind her. I was like shocked at how fast I turned around, and there was a tripod in the road with a camera going. Well done. So, yeah, we all stood there, and, it was pretty easy to point out on that hillside where to look. And I was watching kind of up on the upper side to see if it had moved, and twice there's a spot where a burn had been through there. So you have the live trees, and then it's burnt trees up on the ridge. And right at the edge where it goes from the live trees to the burnt trees, I saw something black just between the trees just quickly block out the sky. And it was maybe 3 minutes later, a little farther over into the dead stuff, something black blocked out the trees just for a second. So it could have gone in behind the trees where you saw it and then up to the ridge and then was going over, or it could have been a completely different individual, something like that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And when we were driving back, I pointed out to you, you know, where we had our group sighting up here, I think was probably about twice the distance from where you saw that up on the hill. So yeah, it had to have been big because, well, part of the reason that we couldn't see the person up here, it was Mitch at the time in a yellow t-shirt, the vegetation was so thick that he had to move and kind of get up out of the vegetation for us to be able to spot him, but still he was tiny.
Right.
So whatever individual it was that you saw on that far hillside didn't have the vegetation hiding him. So
Twice as tall as him.
yeah, so if it had been, it could have been about the same size as what was seen here on this hill,
Right.
just without being partially hidden, you know. So yeah, when we went back down there later on, I looked and it's approximately twice the distance. So
Oh, easily.
yeah,
That's a long. That's a ways.
yeah.
Easily.
How long did you see it for?
Well,
How many steps do you think it took?
Well, when we came around the first corner, it was in this direction. So that's when everything opened up. And I went meadow, meadow, meadow. And at that point, don't ask me distances, I'm Kelly Miles. In the picture, when you look
This
at the
is Kelly
picture,
weekend.
okay, when you look at the picture and you first see the ridgeline come up from the left, put your hand like that. It was about this far up, about a quarter of the way up, and I watched it 3/4 of the way to the trees. Now, because the corner we came around here, meadow, meadow, and by then we were on a straightaway, coming around this way, and then I saw that thing up there, and then we came around another ridge, and that's when the dead trees in front of me, there was a space. So at first when I saw it, the tall trees, its head was even with those trees, so my mind kept trying to tell me it's just a burnt tree because we were passing the trees. But when the trees cleared out and it was still there, still strolling, I'd say at this point it's halfway up towards the copse of trees. And then, and that's when I said, there's something walking on the hill, because then my mind knew for sure.
Uh-huh.
Because first you have to make sure, right? And that's when I knew for sure, and then that's when we stopped. But by the time, and I watched her walk right into the grove of trees, and I think by the time you came around, maybe that's why you didn't see it. Because by the time I said, there's something walking on the hill, I mean, they take such big steps anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I watched it walk from a quarter of that all the way up.
Okay.
And then we all jumped out and it never came out. So, I mean, I do know, not that I know anything, but what I've experienced in the past is they'll put something between you and them and make a beeline directly away from you.
I thought what was interesting when you described him yesterday on the road, you said you could see like a bulbous butt, but there was
Yeah,
no
'cause she
color
was-
like a pack, or it was all solid one color.
Yeah, because I saw just the profile,
Right.
and it wasn't, if I were to walk up that ridge, I would be tucked in, and I would be,
Puffin.
you know, like you do when you're holding two
Yeah.
walking sticks or you're
Right.
trying to get momentum.
And you're huffing and you're
And it
puffing.
wasn't lean forward, like
Yeah.
trying to,
Not blowing
Right.
anything.
it was just strolling, and it's just walking
Nothing,
Yeah.
nonchalant.
normal, like if we're out for a stroll. And yeah, it was a profile, so I didn't see anything. The front was kind of, you know, there wasn't any bumps in the front, and the back came down, and the back came down, and yeah, I could see that it was just strolling. It wasn't
Yeah.
pumping its legs or its arms, other than just a walk.
Keep in mind that we are at about 6,000 feet. So for a regular hiker to have been up there making that kind of time climbing steep ground, you know, I don't think a human could have done it in that amount of time, gotten up that hillside and into
An
those trees.
extreme person could, but not
Yeah.
just a regular Joe like us.
Yeah.
But if you watch people as they're walking uphill, you lift your legs more because you've got to get that next step. I do.
Yeah,
You know, you don't want to bump your toe and fall forward.
Right.
So you lift your legs a little higher than it
We
was,
don't want to fall at all.
and you would pump your arms more in an inward position to get your momentum, and it was not doing that.
Wow.
It was just
It was a walk
straight.
in the park for you.
Very cool.
Yeah, just walking.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So that may have been our fourth possible sighting this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Got a
amazing.
couple days left, so we don't have to be done yet. Let's have another sighting, huh?
Have a visit. Yeah.
So when we were driving out from Kelly's Corner and even in, remember all the mud clods on the other side of the hill that approaches her hillside of the sighting? There were mud clods all down in the road fresh. They
Yeah.
hadn't dried in the sun. They hadn't been rained on. They were that nice. And we saw quite a few elk or animal tracks going that caused that slide into the road. And I theorized that perhaps he was ranging on the hunt and was following those animals up over and then parallel to the ridge.
Very likely.
Yeah. Because a lot of animals went through there within a few hours.
Yeah, none of that was there the day before. There
No.
was broken plants in the road, rocks, lots of clumps of mud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big clods.
Yeah.
Big clods.
ravine down there.
Yeah, the animals came up from the ravine, crossed the road, went up, dropped all the clods and big rocks.
Yeah.
Whole mess in the road, but we didn't see his tracks or whatever it was. We didn't see that. So I don't know how he came up and over to the sighting.
That was
Not
around
sure.
noon too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Around noon when we
Yeah.
went up there.
So, our destination when this happened was we were going back to Kelly's Corner, and there had been so much activity there that we were gonna just check and see if there was any new damage to the vegetation, any more tracks, anything going on, and check out where the one had dropped out of the trucks for a walk where there's a gate there. We walked back behind that, and there was a patch of snow. We were gonna take him down to play in, and at one point we lost Sandy.
Okay, so we had walked down this old road that had been blocked, and there was some beautiful flowers. It's very pretty up there, very fragrant. The group was following the road, and I noticed on a small hillside a game trail, and so I had to follow the game trail, knowing that when I looked ahead, I could see a break in some trees, and I figured the trail went right through there, and it would probably intercept you guys at the other end. So I walked off, and I'm just following the game trail, and I'm always looking at the ground looking for prints because I still love finding those. And I had gotten through the trees, that break, and a voice in my head said, "Look large, Sandy." And I was like, huh. And I must have taken a step or a step and a half, and here was a large print. And I was like, whoa. And then I was very proud of myself because usually, you'll start to like, no, that can't be. But I stopped myself and just said, thank you. So that was awesome. That was a great lesson because this little voice said, look large, Sandy, and I did, and here's this print. It's an older print because there's little bits of grass starting to poke through it, but the ridges around the foot, the outline of the foot is there, and the damage to the earth was 19 inches long. Just around 8.25 inches wide across what would be the ball of the foot, and the heel I think was around 4-ish, 4.5, something like that. So I was pretty taken with that, and then and I heard you guys kind of chattering for just a little bit, but then it became silent, and I never heard you guys again. But then I was just almost right on the where the hill went down, and I would have intercepted you guys. So then I thought, well, this looks like a left foot, so where's the other foot? So then I looked in a clump of grass. There was some broken grasses, but you couldn't tell anything. I went down over the little hill, now down on the road level where you guys should have been. So you guys were the ones that were lost. I knew exactly where I was. And there was another footprint down there, and it looked to be the same size. It was another left foot, and you could still see the outline of it. So I actually started put sticks next to them so we could find them again, because I fully expected you guys to come back up that road, and then we would see each other, and I wanted to show you, but you never did. And then
Slackers, is that what you're saying?
yeah, pretty much.
That arrow horn went off.
And so I actually took pictures, and we went back too. But I took pictures of them. They look really good. For those of you that have seen the pictures, I think they look really good. I outlined the one that was the best. And then when I was quite pleased with myself with those, I went on back up the hill just a few steps to look in the grass some more. And there was another print in there. It was, I can't remember how.
It was
14?
it was a small one.
It was
Maybe
small. It was
12?
narrow.
Yeah.
12 to
I
14
don't
somewhere.
remember. We'll have to check the
Yeah,
footage,
we
but-
measured it, so you'll have that. But it was much narrower. So I'm thinking, oh, that was a female. Okay, that was cool. So then I started looking for her other print and never found another one. That's when the air horn went off, and then I heard Barb.
We were supposed to,
Yeah, you were back in the vehicles, and I was still down there.
but we were wrong.
Yes, you were. Because you left me there.
Right.
You never leave people in the forest.
Why do I even do this? I'm very wrong every time.
Okay, so anyway, so then the horn blasted. I heard you call. I was yelling at you guys that I was coming. You guys never heard me, but thank goodness it wasn't that far. I
Yeah.
was shocked how close we were
Yeah.
to the cars. So then we came back, had lunch, and then we went back down so you could see them and film them. So,
Documented them, and
Yeah.
the dogs frolicked in the grass and rolled in the snow.
and guess what?
What?
G2 did.
What?
Remember when we were looking at the print?
Oh.
And she came over, and luckily you had already documented it, because
Yeah.
Brad went too. She came over and started digging in the print. It's gone. I was like, that's a Gabbyism. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You can't stop, you can't look, and you can't point.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as she saw us looking, she was up there to see what we were looking at and started pawing it. So that one print's totally gone.
Yeah. We got pictures and video.
We do. We've learned. Yeah. So that was
Right.
fun.
It was. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Nope. All
Let's go
right.
hike.
Well, I guess that wraps up our Saturday morning meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Get out there and have a great adventure today, okay?
Okay, stop right there. Whoa. Can you see him now?
No, I saw him take that corner.
But I
And
saw
he's walking the right way. That's exactly the trajectory it was on. It just went just almost in a straight line on his trajectory. And then I think maybe the car doors, it may have turned and looked at us, and when it got to those trees, hid.
Okay,
But it was just,
stay
yeah.
there.
But it was right where it passed right through that clump of bushes he was standing by. From here, they look like little
Okay,
Same
bushes.
okay, you're
spot.
in a good spot right there.
But
You're much smaller.
I would not have noticed that speck walking across the mountain. So, and he's how tall?
He's 6'3".
Holy
6'3", and it's probably what, half the size of what you seen.
Okay, so it looks like you're in the right position. So I was wondering what you saw when you were at the right elevation and you walked ahead. Is it easy for you to turn then and go up over the crest of that hill?
Yeah, so where you are right now is where I saw it the first time. The second time was a couple of minutes later, and it was like maybe 50 to 75 feet to our right.
His left.
Oh, in the huckleberries.
Oh.
How high above the huckleberry are the blueberries?
I couldn't tell you. You know, it was bigger than you because I can't see you with the naked eye.
I have no
And these blueberries are at belt level for me. I got Penny with me.
No, you got Patricia with you.
I got Pat with me, and I think I can run faster than her, so I'm okay.
Oh, you're the gentleman. I see how you are.
It